All right. Whoa, what just happened to my voice? Excuse me. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. Thank you for stopping by, checking out the channel. Will from Twitch. What's up, man? Hope you've been good, man. Ooh. All right. I'm good though. I'm good. Thank you for asking. I haven't been on Twitch in a little while because I was trying to figure out the issue with my multi-streaming and why excuse me, and why my streaming software was always crashing or basically messing up every time. And I think I figured it out, so hopefully all of that works a little bit better now. Let me move this a little bit. Will said, what else are you streaming on? I was streaming on Twitch and YouTube, just Twitch and YouTube. But speaking of which, I've been considering switching what YouTube channel that I stream on, just because I'm still trying to stream to Twitch, just so people who have been following the stream for a while can can learn what I'm doing now, basically. Because my hope is that people who still come back to check out the stream, even though I'm not doing what they're used to, they're able to still hear. Because I have a lot of people that I've met on this platform that I care about. So if they hear this message that I'm sharing now, it's still important. So that's why I don't want to stop Twitch, at least not yet. Maybe in like a year, maybe I would stop doing Twitch. But as far as like the YouTube, because what I'm doing now is more YouTube content anyways. So that's the plan though. He said sick like me. Oh, okay, you were saying like me. Yeah, basically, like there's way, like, I mean, you are someone who can attest to the fact that there are a lot of people who I actually built friendships with on Twitch, through Twitch, let me put it that way. People who I know what's going on in their lives. I know what their name is outside of just sick gamer 25. So at least those people, if I have an opportunity to share this with them, I mean, to be fair, like I've always been that guy who did the things that most people always felt like, oh my goodness, it's so like, just do what other people are doing, man. Like every time, why is yours always different? So this shouldn't be new to those people, anyways. To keep it all simple, the bottom line is, I know that what I'm sharing right now about the Bible is important, and I think I want to set a foundation first. Like, I don't just want to come into this and just say, oh, let's just have an open conversation about whatever, whenever, however you want to have the conversation. I want to set the foundation that what I want to talk about is the Bible, so that people know, okay, well, that's what you want to talk about first. Because my hope at the end of the day is to learn and teach other people, learn from other people, more about what life holds for all of us. And for most of the people on Twitch, it will be a lot of, forget even teaching and learning, right? There's also like, have a conversation. That's my hope, is that, Binge wouldn't fall into this category, but let's just say Binge comes up one day and he's like, why do you think that there is even a God to begin with? And then we can have a conversation about why I think that God actually exists. Or someone comes up to me and says, why the Bible and not, Buddhism? and we could have a conversation about that. You know, that's what I'm hoping for, is to be able to enlighten people. I think that's the right word to use instead of teaching and learning. It's just for everybody to be a little bit more enlightened, for you to have a free space where you could talk and you can ask your questions. And then at the end of the day, hear what the Bible has to say, because all of that matters, because I believe that the Bible is true, and the Bible makes some very, very big claims. It makes some very big claims. The Bible, and one of the biggest claims is that there is a God that created the world, and he had an intention for why he created it. He wanted himself and us to have a relationship. Now, that's it. It's literally that's it. But that's the first major claim that the Bible makes. Now, if that's true, there's also the other part, which is that we all get to live forever. Yes, not in our physical flesh body, but you're going to be alive forever, whether you like it or not. That consciousness in you is going to be alive forever. Now, if you... So everybody gets an opportunity to choose how that life is going to be. The life that you have in your flesh, the life that you have after, which is considerably longer, how it's going to be. The Bible makes those two claims, those two very, very big claims. And if it's true, you know, the way I put it out to other people is like, okay, if let's say you thought that Christianity was just all out to spoil your fun, and you're just like, nah, man, I want to have fun every day of my life. I want to have fun. If you say, okay, fine, I give up the fun, what's the worst that could happen? You die. You never even know that you didn't get to have fun. It wouldn't even matter, because the Bible's wrong. You're dead now. It's all blackout. What's the worst that could happen? You just didn't have fun, and you don't even know that you didn't have fun because you're dead now. Maybe some people who are on the earth would just, you know, be wondering about it. But at the end of the day, that's the worst that could happen. But on the flip side, if the Bible is true and there's a heaven and a hell, and there's an opportunity to have a relationship with God both while you're alive on this earth and afterwards, and you don't give up whatever it is that you feel like is so amazing that you don't want to give up, and you don't give it up, the consequences of that is way more severe. Way more severe. So at least for me, like, that's like one of the starting points that I like to have. Yo, Cozy, what's up, man? Happy Monday. Sorry I haven't been on Twitch lately. I don't know if you've seen that I was on YouTube, but I didn't even stream on YouTube on Wednesday and Friday, and on Monday I only streamed on YouTube because I've been having issues with like my streaming software, but I got it all sorted, at least for now. I was actually trying to stream on TikTok as well, just to be able to, you know, try to reach more people, even though that could also bring some more chaos. But yeah, I hope you've been doing good though, Cozy. Will says it's all give and take. What risks are you willing to take? Exactly. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, right, in life, I feel like there's some risks that are just not worth it. Like, if you could take a risk, taking a risk in our minds, in our own minds as human beings, taking a risk that has no benefit, people are going to look at you like, why did you even take the risk? You know, let's say, for example, I'm trying to come up with something, right? For example, right, someone says that there's a house in the mouth of a lion, for example, that you should dip your hand into that lion's mouth and you will get a full house inside that lion. It's a risk that's not worth taking, because there's no benefit. There's definitely not a house in the mouth of the lion. Like, all you're just risking is the chance of your hand getting cut off. You know what I mean? So there's still like risks that make sense and risks that don't make sense. Because I agree with you, it's all about what risk you're willing to take, right? But in this instance, now bringing it back home, what's the risk that you're taking by choosing to believe that there is a God? Like, what's risky about that? What do you lose? Because like I said, I'm talking, you know how I put it up against each other, right? Like the worst that could happen is you die and you didn't have fun while you were alive, and now you're dead and it doesn't matter because there's nothing that's happening afterwards. You're just gone. There's no, you didn't lose anything basically at the end of the day. To that person that has died and there's nothing afterwards, you didn't lose nothing. So there's no risk there. You literally taking no risk. But what is a risk is if the Bible's claims are true and you don't actually follow what it's saying, then it's a risk. I don't know if I hope what I'm saying like translates well. You got to be talking to a wizard for that to be true. Exactly. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying like when it comes to like risks and saying like life is about taking a risk. Oh, Will with the 28 months, man. Appreciate the continued support, man. But yeah, so that's my point is like those are the kind of questions that I want to be able to have with people. Like, for example, for you, Will, I mean, I know you probably don't want to get too deep into it, but I'll ask just one question. Why would you choose? Okay, first of all, maybe we do this one. Let me, if I want to ask one question, I want to make sure that my question is a good one. Because I have two possible questions in my head. One question is, do you believe that there is a God? And number two, I should ask the two. Okay, so the first question is, do you believe that God exists, that there is a God? Number one. And number two, if there is a God, right? So if you say there's not, we'll deal with that, right? But if there is a God, why would you take a risk of not like getting to know him? Like what's your reason for, okay, so let's say for example, you say, first question, do you believe there's a God? You say no. Now my second question is, well, if there was a God, why are you taking the risk of not getting to know if there is one or not? Like, why are you taking the risk of it? Because I've clearly told you now that the God that I know, he makes a very bold claim that it's either you have a relationship with him and you're living a relationship with him here and in the afterlife, or you don't have a relationship with him and you're separated from from him while you're living and then for eternity. So knowing that, why would you take a risk to not know him? And do you believe that there is even a God to begin with? I don't know if I've seen any messages because I can't actually, my Twitch messages, once it's gone out of this screen, I can't even see this screen anymore. So it's a little bit, it's going to take some adjusting for me. I think I would have to like get a dock and a Twitch. I think I'll have to get a dock. A custom doc to put on to put my Twitch chat in. I'm trying to pop up. I'm trying to see if, well, you know what? I'll do that a different day. Oh, okay. You just typed a long message. I gotta go to Twitch to read that. 1 second. Yeah, I think I need to actually pull the chat here. Okay. So you said, in my personal belief, I believe there is multiple in the sense of Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. They are what I believe in. I've got a Hades tattoo on my forearm, which means I guess I do believe in your God as well, because if I do believe in them, I believe in all gods. Okay, so first question, thank you. So I'm gonna wait for you to type the other answer, and then while I'm doing that, I'm going to try to fix my chat so I can actually see these messages, because I'm literally logging into Twitch to be able to see the message that you typed. Let's do that. Okay. Nope. Okay. Oh man, I'm gonna need my phone because I need to log in here. Why is this not working? Oh. It's so weird the way I have my stuff set up now, where I'm literally looking at stuff on my screen and like Twitch can't see. It's the way I had it before. Everybody could see everything that I was doing on my screen. All right, let me just get that text. And the funny thing is I had this texting thing set up so that I could check it on my phone before. Perfect. Okay. Alright. I can see your messages now. I was focused on the first question. What was the second? Okay, the second question was if there is a God, right? And that God happens to be the God that I'm talking about, the God of the Bible. What's the reason why you would take a risk of not doing what he is asking you to do? Like what, because I listed out, I said, there's claims that the Bible makes. And I said, the claim that the Bible is making is that there is eternal life. So once you're born, you're living forever, basically. So according to the Bible's paradigm, there's only two options. It's either you have a relationship with God or you don't have a relationship with God. Now, since this God is a God of order, he's set a way to have a relationship with him and a way not to. Like even us as men, right? As human beings, I just flipped this on accident. But yeah, even us as human beings, right? We have some sort of way of telling, like, come on. Of choosing the people we get to hang out with and the people we don't get to hang out with, pretty much, right? We get to do that. So same thing with the God of the Bible. This is how you get to get to hang out with me. This is how you don't get to hang out with me, which makes sense. So now we were talking about risks earlier, right? And a lot of people have heard about this God and they take the risk. I know that because, I know a lot of people in my life and I've been there as well, right? Which is, why would I take the risk of the consequences of the claim of the Bible, right? Which is, you don't get to have a relationship with God in this life. You don't get to have a relationship with him after. And that also is the definition of what we know colloquially as heaven and hell, right? So why would you take the risk to possibly be in hell if the claim of the Bible is true? Like, what's the thing that you're trading, if that makes sense? Like, say, for example, some people are like, well, I really want to, I really want to kill somebody, for example. Let's just go extreme, right? I really want to kill someone. And I know that if I obey the rule of the Bible, I can't kill. So I want to kill. And that's the reason why I'm choosing, I'll take whatever consequences comes with that if I could just kill someone, for example, right? I'm going the most extreme, so my question is, what's your, why are you taking the risk, basically, of possibly ending up, if the Bible is true, why are you taking the risk of ending up where it's saying you would end up? I hope that was clear. But I'll respond to your first question though while you're typing the next, because you said, in my personal belief. So first of all, when you said my personal belief, I actually wanted to decode that because I wasn't too sure I understood what that meant by personal belief. Like, is it a belief system that you made up by yourself? So like, you've defined what you're going, like you basically made your own, for lack of a better term, your own religion, basically. Like, this is what is I'm gonna follow, this is how I'm gonna live my life, and that's how you go by it. Is that what you mean by your own personal belief? And you said, I believe there's multiple in the sense of Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. They are what I believe. They are what I believe in. Okay, so your personal belief, what that comes around is that there are 3 different gods, and you believe that those are the gods of, well, I think, okay, let me read everything fully because maybe that'll give me more understanding. Give me a second. Let me pull this away. So you said, so I've got a Hades tattoo on my forearm, which means I guess I do believe in your God as well, because if I do believe in them, I believe in all gods. Okay, so based on your belief system, there are gods, and you, so basically to my question, you're like, okay, if I'm asking if I believe that there is a God, then yeah, you believe in gods, that gods exist. Yeah, well, I know what polytheistic basically means, that you believe that there are many gods, right? So that's what you're talking about. You believe that there are many gods, and then you believe that the God that I'm speaking about in the Bible is just one of them, basically. Yeah, okay. And because now, in terms of polytheism, do you know if that, because again, you know how you talked about your personal belief, does that mean that every god is a god? Like, for example, the guy who basically worships his toothbrush in his house, that also is a god too? Is that your belief? Or there's still some way that you can tell, like, okay, these gods, that's meh, but these ones are kind of like the gods. They're a way to like separate, because you know that there's some people who have they have a bottle in their room that they pray to. I guess so, yeah, if you're saying he's the god of order. Well, I'm saying he's more than that, but at least I have an understanding now of the baseline. So now, here's my question, right? My second question, which was, why would you take the risk, right? But I feel like you can't really answer that question, so maybe I should ask it differently. But I still want the second question to be based on the Bible, because I want to know if you know anything about the God of the Bible. So, for example, you know how, I'm sure I'm guessing, let me not say sure, I'm guessing you believe that at some point there was someone who created everything that exists today. Like, it had to have started somewhere. It had to have started with somehow. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say, for example, from my understanding, right, Poseidon is the god of water, for example, and I think Zeus is the god of lightning. Well, those are still different things, right? So if you're the god of lightning, then there's someone who created the lightning before you even became a god of it. You know, maybe there's even someone who shared the different things for everybody else, because, you know, somehow, some way, the beginning had to have happened. Like, it had to have started somehow. He said, yeah, okay. So now, according to your belief system, out of all those gods, who created this world that we're living in right now? That's what I'm gonna ask, because my question, which is like, because I want to first of all identify what God you're talking about, and let's talk, person to person here. Let's have an understanding between each other. Because like for me now, for example, based on the Bible, I know that there is one God that created everything that we have in the world today. He made everything, right? And there's a story in the Bible, which, like I always say, instead of saying story, I always tell people it's basically a book that has historical facts about what happened. Like, people look at the Bible and they look at it as like stories, they look at it as just like man-made things, but the Bible specifically is making the claim that God inspired people to write about things that actually happened in history. So according to the Bible's claim of being a historical book, this one God created everything that's in the world right now. And that's why I'm asking. So when I'm asking you, like, do you believe there is a God? I'm asking, do you believe that the whole world came from something, came from someplace? Because I don't know much about Poseidon and Hades and stuff, but I do know that from what I know, rather, I never heard that they're the ones that created the universe. You know what I mean? The law of them is there were titans which created everything, and then they started to go berserk. So the three main gods overthrew them by killing them, and they now look over the earth, and their kids are gods of other things. Okay, so the lore behind it is that there were titans. Now let me look up what the word titans means, because again, like I said, I'm trying to understand the idea of something being created. You understand? So like, let's see titans. Let me just look that up really quickly. Titans. What can I look up? Titans mythology, so I can understand what you're saying. Because so far, according to this story, right, the person, or let's say the people who created everything got overthrown by the things that they created. That, to me, if anybody told me that, if anybody, me and you will, if we, like, we're not just talking about like man creating a robot. You know what I mean? We're talking about the creation of the entire universe. And we're saying that the people who created that got overthrown by the things that they created. I'm surprised you believe that, Will. Cause like, you know what I mean? Like, can you explain it to me in a way that you've known me long enough? Explain it to me in, like, in a relational term. Why do you think that it's possible for the person or the entity that created this world, their creation could have overthrown them? Like what? Unless you think that these, try and explain it to me, basically, because for me, like, I'm trying to understand, what your belief system, right? But I'm stuck on that. Like, let's say there are even maybe 5 of them. I sent a paragraph in Discord. And then I guess I could actually ask my other question, my second question, easily now, because when I finish reading this, of course, which is, so these gods that rule over the world, basically, what's the idea? What's their idea on future and past things? But your what you sent me might actually answer this, so let me see. Okay. So in Greek mythology, the Titans were powerful deities who ruled the cosmos before the Olympian gods. They were the offspring of the primordial beings Uranus, Gaia, a first generation of 12 gods, six brothers, Ocean, okay, and six sisters. The Titans, led by Cronus, overthrew their father Uranus, but were eventually defeated by Cronus's son Zeus in the Titan Omaki, leading to their imprisonment in Tartarus and ascendancy of the Olympians. Okay, so it says that the Titans were powerful deities who ruled the cosmos. Even in this statement here, it doesn't even say that they are the ones that created it. It just says that they ruled over it. If they just ruled over it, then it makes sense that they could be overthrown. You know what I mean? Like, for example, let's say they put me in charge of this street now. I could be overthrown because I'm just a ruler of it. But if I'm the one that created the whole town, it's a lot harder for the people in there to be able to overthrow me. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? Because I wonder who created these people. So let's say, for example, for sake of argument, right? These titans that were ruling, somebody gave them the rulership. Someone made them and gave them the rulership. I'm wondering, who is the creator in your belief? Who created everything? Like, who created you? Okay, in Greek mythology, the world began with a primal void called chaos, from which emerged primordial deities like Gaia, Eros, and Tartarus, the underworld. Gaia then gave birth to Uranus, and together they produced the Titans, Cyclops, okay, and then eventually leading to the rise of the Olympian gods. So the world began with a primal void. Okay, this is perfect now. So now I'm all caught up, right? So according to this, right, the world just happened. Basically, like it just, there's nothing responsible for it. It just kind of happened and continued happening, basically, right? Because it says there was chaos and something just emerged, right? So that means it just happened. So essentially, there's no how do I put it now? No consequence, no consequence, and what's the other? Yeah, no consequence, basically. We just do what we do and whatever, basically, right? Yeah, because for me, Will, the reason I'm asking, I want to understand what the rule that governs this mythology is, right? Like this whole idea that, okay, there was chaos and then things just started emerging, right? Like, human, like, for example, people like humans just emerged. It wasn't the first person just nothing caused it. It just happened to just show up, basically. So I'm wondering now, like, okay, so based on this idea now, what rules do you have to live your life by? And is there anything that happens to you when you die? That's what I'm asking, because that was what my second question is about. But of course, I had to understand your point of view first to be able to ask the question properly. You said the beliefs of ancient Greek mythology centered on a pantheon of anthropomorphic deities who influenced all aspects of human life and the natural world. Unlike monotheistic religions, ancient Greek religion did not have a single sacred text or set of doctrines, but rather drew from epic poems and a rich oral tradition of stories. Religious practices varied by location, though core mythological stories were shared across the Greek world. Okay, so basically, like, there's really no, everybody has their own different story, basically their own different ways to guide themselves by. Like, everybody just kind of have their own stories that they go by, basically, if I understand that correctly. Because he says they do not have a single sacred text or a set of doctrines, so everybody just do what they want based on what they heard, when they heard it, stuff like that, right? Yeah, there isn't a set way of life to get where they want, whereas for you you follow a text to get to heaven. Perfect. Okay, so that brings me to my second question, so I'll ask it again now that I can ask it from the point of view of knowing where you stand, right? So according to this, right, there's a bunch of stories that leads us to understand that, okay, well, everybody just kind of lives their life and they do what they want, and it is what it is. There's no rhyme or reason to what we do. Like, Poseidon is not gonna come if you lie to somebody. Poseidon is not gonna come and correct you or nothing. Whether what you do, what you don't do, it is what it is, basically. Now, the Bible, like I said earlier, makes a claim that there is only one God that created everything. And he has decided what good is, he has decided what bad is, and he has decided what you would need to do to have a relationship with him or to not. My question earlier was, this claim that the Bible makes, remember I said earlier, it's actually almost very similar to what I said earlier. What you believe in, right? If you say you don't believe in it anymore, nothing essentially changes for you. And there's no consequence for you choosing to not believe in Greek mythology either. On the other hand, there's the Bible that's making a claim that there are consequences to the actions that you do. And my question is, if the Bible, if you're wrong, if what you're saying is wrong, I'm good, you're good, everybody is good. So nothing happens after, nobody is guiding us, there's nothing, right? Like, if what you're saying is wrong, if what you're saying is true, there's no consequence anyways, right? But if what the Bible is saying is true, that there is one God who created us, and we either get to have a relationship with him or we don't, the consequence of not believing in this is eternal separation from God. Even if let's say, for example, I'm going to make it like a very small, bring it down really small, right? Someone tells you that fire is hot, and if you put your hand on it, it will hurt you, like it will burn you, right? You don't know if the fire is actually hot. You don't know. Let's say you didn't know, right? Now, if you touch the fire and it burns you off your finger, that's the consequence of your action. You still dealing with it regardless. You know what I mean? Whether you believed it or not, if you touch that fire, you're gonna receive the consequence for it. So in the same way, that's why I'm asking, right? What you believe in right now is the way you explained it to me. It's basically there's stories, there are things that happen, there's different ideas, there are different things that happen. There's no rhyme or reason for it even, because we looked at like the source of it, right? You said the beginning of it is chaos. So chaos just exists. Even the people that emerged from that chaos got overthrown. So anything can happen in this. There's no anybody could overtake anybody, anything can happen. It's all free for all, basically, right? So, and if that's true, that's fine, because like I said, me, you, we all screwed anyways in this world of chaos, and only who even knows what happens after we die. It's just whatever, nobody knows anyways, right? So like I said, to me, that sounds like there ain't no consequence. You know what I mean? Like, we just do what we do. Whether I believe in the Bible, I don't, it doesn't matter. So there's no consequence. But on the flip side, if what the Bible is saying is true, the consequence is very severe. And that's why I asked the question, like, what's the reason why it's so much, like, what would hold you from actually trying to know this, since the consequence is severe here? Whereas what you know right now, there's nothing, like, whether you know it, you don't know it, it doesn't matter really. You know what I mean? Didn't Constantine combine Greek beliefs, Greek mythology with Christian beliefs to get Catholic beliefs? I've heard about Constantine a lot, but I haven't actually gone to, because to be honest, Cozy, as much as like I know a lot of information about different things, I'm starting to realize that I'm starting to try more and more to focus on the Bible, or to like conclude on the Bible every time, because there's so much information. Like, for example, one of my really good friends is a Muslim, right? And for months and months, I read, well, it was months or weeks, I read the Quran with him just to help him understand what it is that he believes in. Because I think most people, including Christians, don't understand what they believe in. Based on some life circumstances, people just, okay, fine, I'll just do this thing this way. And they don't really understand. So even here, like, for me, my first step for what Will is saying, so I don't fall into that same boat of not understanding, is I ask Will, what is it that you believe in? Why do you believe in it? Explain it to me so we can have a basis. And then I can tell you, well, this is what the Bible says. And if the Bible, let's grant you your point of view. If you're good in your point of view, I'm chilling either way. Oh yeah, nothing wrong, nothing, Cozy, of course, nothing wrong. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong, because I still learn it. It's just, I'm trying to, like, I'm slowing it down a little bit, because I agree with you, without knowing what other things says, Cozy, like, we don't even know, we can't have proper conversations with other people. You know what I mean? So I agree with you. I'm just revealing to you that, like, me, I've slowed down on it, because me, like 6 months ago, I would have gone and read all the Constantine books. In fact, me, the old me, after we'll finish this conversation, I would have been going to read Greek mythology for the rest of the day. That's the way that I used to do stuff before. But I'm just like, I'm starting to like draw back on it, because I realize I'm not actually spending as much time on the word as I could. And, you know, all these things, like, as good as it's information for me to talk to people, I don't even get to talk to that many people anyways. Like, for example, like, I have a lot of knowledge on Islam, and I don't speak to that many Muslims about Islam. So, like, the knowledge is there, it's good, but, like, I would, you know, it basically just brought me back to, man, just read your Bible. If anything, I read more on like the early church and things like that instead, but I haven't read on Constantine. And there's another person, I think is it Alexander the Great? I think maybe that might be the other two people. The church in I think the church there's a name. There's a few of them. So Will said, sorry, Will, let me get back to you. You said, if it's true, I'm screwed. If it's not, I'm chilling. Pardon my swearing. Okay, so let me see. I'm trying to put what you said to like the question that I asked. So based on what you said now, if it's true, you're screwed. If it's not, you're chilling. Then why do you? So what's the reason? I'm asking, like, why do you take the chance on not at least finding out if it's true? Or trying, like, testing it out to see if it's true? Because like I said, where you're at right now, I don't even need to know anything about what you believe in, and I'm still good. You know what I'm saying? Like what you just spoke about with Greek mythology, no matter what I did or believed in or knew, it doesn't. Think about it basically, Will. The belief that you're talking about, to be honest, to be fair, it doesn't even matter. Basically, that's how at least that's the way I understand it, because stuff happened, people have different ideas of what happened, things still happen. That's it. There's no, it literally has no, like, there's no, oh, okay, so therefore. It's just, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Now, and you said, how would you find out? That's a great question. The Bible claims that it makes a claim. It says that if you seek God with all your heart and all your might, you will find him if you seek him through his words. It's that simple. All you got to do, because for example, right, for me, right, if someone's asking me, do I know if I have a relationship with God or not? I know that I do because I have experienced it. You know what I'm saying? But the only way you're gonna experience, because people experience a lot of things. People experience God, they experience demons, they experience all sort of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the Bible's claim specifically, it's saying, come read the words of God, and he's basically telling you, God is telling you through the words, through his word, that if you'd read his word and you seek to know him, that's all it is. He will reveal himself to you. That's it. Is not, there's no, and it's easy for you to test it. You know, you just go, you read the word of God, you actually read it, and you seek to know him. You basically surrender all your own ideas, all your own thoughts, like leave yourself out of it, and just seek to know, like, if there is a God that created. Because one part that I didn't talk about, because you're not one of those people who doesn't even believe that there is a God to begin with. So what I would normally say is, or what I've told people in the past is that if excuse me, if God, if you look outside, you look at the trees, you even look at human beings, or you visit any science book, anything in that is created in this world that's not man-made, you just look at those things, it's too complex. It's way too complex for it to have happened by accident. Have you ever seen a picture of just the eye? How many veins go through the eye, the different colors, the different functions? I don't know if you even looked even into science in terms of just how we survive on this earth. How the level of oxygen that's in the earth, it has it's perfect to the point that if it was a 0.0000 whatever of how it is right now, life would not exist as it does today. I believe that there is a mind that's responsible for that kind of perfection, and the Bible talks about that mind. It talks about that person. It talks about that being. And like I said, if anybody wants to know him, all you got to do is read his word and actually seek to know him. Because there's the other side to it is this. There's a question that I heard a teacher make once. He said, if you knew that your sister or your well, let's just say your sister or a friend of yours that's a girl, there was a guy who really, 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 really loved your sister or your friend that's a girl. If your friend that's a girl didn't like him, would you be okay with him forcing her into liking him? Or would you want her, she should like him if he wants, she should not like him if he wants, that she should have a choice? Right? That's the way that God is with us. Because for us too, he's not gonna make you believe in him, because then that wouldn't be love. Just like that guy and that young girl, or that girlfriend of yours, or that sister of yours, if that guy just made her like him, that's not love. That ain't really love. Even us, we could think of that as that doesn't make no sense. And that's the reason why, like I'm saying, instead he asks you to come and look for him. He asks you to come and see if you would actually fall in love with him by yourself, and you can make that decision. But at the same time, he lets you know that if you don't make that decision, if you choose to not be with him, the consequence of that choice, you'll also receive it. All right. So Will said Pan is the god of the forests and trees, so forth. And in some myths, Prometheus is credited with shaping the first humans from mud and water, with Athena breathing life into the clay figures. I know it's not what you're talking about. No, that's okay. That's okay, Will. That's okay. And I'm not surprised by any of the things that you just said in terms of like Prometheus being credited. Now, again, like I said, based on our own understanding as human beings, right? Because some of these things I try to like understand what I'm thinking, what I'm seeing, what I'm reading, right? The idea that some gods just appeared out of nothing, like things just appeared for no reason, it just happened to be. And then those things that just happened to be, some, because it's not just one, those things just happened to be, and then they just started walking together. I'm just, again, that's why I said, like, I try to understand it, because I can understand there being a creator that created everything, because it makes sense even down to science about cause and reaction, right? Like something happened, and that's why we have a lot of things happening from it. How was God? And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. There's a difference between something existed as opposed to, and something always was, than some things just popped out of thin air. Because we're even talking about Prometheus. For example, we say Prometheus was credited with shaping the first humans with mud and water. Who created the mud and the water that Prometheus is now using to form a man? That's what I'm saying. It all makes sense that something created everything. The idea that a bunch of things appeared, there's no appear, like, because in the theology here it says they emerged. The difference between that and the Bible, for example, is that the Bible is saying God always was. Even before time was, God was. But with what you're talking about, right, this sounds like it just keeps begging you the question of like, he made the clay and he made the mud, but like there was chaos, and then some things emerged. It's like, and again, I wouldn't even, like I said, for me, it's not even as much of trying to, like, yes, it's nice to understand what these things mean, but at the end of the day, there's no consequence to knowing or not knowing it anyway. So if I want to know it, I'm just knowing it for fun, which is cool. It's for fun. It's just cool to know. There's no reason for me to know it or to not know it. There's literally no consequence to it. You know what I mean? In Greek mythology, particularly in the Orphic tradition, mud along with hydros, primordial water, and thesis creation emerged at the dawn of creation. That makes sense. That makes sense. Still, that's it emerged when creation started. Who started creation? You see what I mean? Because I agree with you. Even the Bible talks about man being created by God. But the difference between what you're saying and what I'm saying right now is two things. Number one, whether Orphic created the universe, or Zeus created the universe, or Prometheus created the universe, all of that. In fact, first of all, they didn't even create it. It just was. They just met it there. But it doesn't matter. Do you understand? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, Will. Like, according to your beliefs, this information, you've not even told me why it matters yet. And that's why I'm saying, like, in terms of, I would say this even to someone who is a Buddhist, by the way, everybody, it's the same question that I believe that people should ask themselves, which is, according to what I'm reading or what I believe in, does it, if I knew this information or I didn't know it, would it matter? Like, does that belief say that it matters, or am I just knowing it for fun? Because, like I said, the difference between what I've heard, what I've learned from you today, and what I'm sharing is that everything that you know is learning, is information. Just like if I knew how to play a video game or I didn't know how to play a video game, if I knew how to, you know, run fast or I didn't know how to run fast, doesn't really matter. Actually, running fast could even matter even more than this, because in case one day I'm getting chased and I need to learn how to run so I can survive, at least that would give me a reason for why I'm doing it. But right now, all this information, I wish I could understand to you from your point of view, like why all of this even matters to begin with. Because I understand it so far, right? The point of Greek mythology today isn't about literal belief, but about its historical, cultural, and philosophical significance, offering insights into ancient life, moral lessons, and the human psyche. Mythology provides foundational narratives for art, literature, and storytelling, explains natural phenomena, and reveals ancient societies' values, fears, and understanding of the world before science. Okay, so the significance of knowing what you know is that I'll be able to have an idea of how the world works and how it worked before I was, excuse me, before I was born, basically. And I see why you're writing that, because yes, it basically, it agrees with what I'm saying, that it's knowledge, but it has no significance. Like, it has no there's no, it's knowledge. You know, like, it's knowledge. Maybe I could go to I could have a conversation with a friend, and I'll be able to share those conversations with him. If he knows about it too, we both share, we have a conversation about it. But just because, and I appreciate you actually going through this conversation with me with this long, because I know it's not, a lot of people don't like to, you know, share their thoughts and their opinions and their beliefs that much. Yeah, yeah. So what I want to say, Will, in terms of from what I've researched, yeah, that makes sense. Because I mean, and that's fair. There's people who are atheists who don't even believe in a god, and they follow most of these principles because they hear stories too. Their mom tells them, well, their mom tells a girl, if you sleep with a man, you're gonna get pregnant. That's how I give birth to you. She heard a story. The story is true. If she did go and sleep with a guy, she would be pregnant as well. You know what I'm saying? Right? So what you've shared, like, I understand it, and I know that, like, yeah, there are stories that are being told, there are moral lessons that you could learn. I could also tell you that, okay, if someone hits you with a baseball bat to the head, you know you might get a concussion, you might bleed, stuff like that, right? So that's like again, like, it's information. You know what I mean? So all I'm asking you to do, or all I'm asking from you, is to just take a moment to think about the possibility of there being something else that's true. Because, like I said before, if the Bible is true and there is a God that created the universe, there's way more implications. I don't want to say way more because in this case now, there's no even any implication from what you've shared with me today. There's way more implication from what the Bible is saying. There's consequences, real consequences to that, than if you don't. Now, that's just what I want to share. That's the reason that I asked those questions, because, like I said, my first question was, is there a God or is there not a God? And for someone who says that there is no God, my question would be same thing. Well, if there is no God, then there's no consequence for whatever you do or you don't do. You just do what you do, everybody's okay. But if there is a God, there is a big consequence, because whatever he wants, for whatever purpose that he created this world, if you don't know it, you're gonna get the consequence of whatever plan it is. Whatever he's giving you choices, whatever you choose, you're gonna get the consequence for those actions that you make. And for me, I could tell you, okay, the Bible tells me about certain things I can do, certain ways that I could live my life, things like that. I believe it to be true. And whatever you believe in, it's okay for now. Just check what the Bible says, because this is important. What's going to happen to you? You said, well, there is, because, wait, what's the time? I think, one sec. Uh, uh so yeah, I didn't realize how much time has actually passed, but again, like I said, Will, I appreciate you, having this conversation with me. If there's one thing that I love for you to take out of this, well, everything that we've talked about today is just like, if what I'm saying is true, at least try to see what it's about. That's it. Because like I said, for me, even if I was to say I would do the same thing, right? Like it wouldn't matter. Like there's no, I don't have anything to look forward to if I were to look more into what you're saying. You said depending on how much you believed in the gods and worship them, so forth, depends on what your next life would be like. If you don't worship them and you don't believe, you turn into a rat or get sent to the underworld, for example. But if you do and you really do, you turn into royalty, for example. Okay, so at least there's some part of because again, like I feel like whenever I look into some of these beliefs and things like that, I always find different, like for example, there's someone that came and spoke to me the other day who was I think he said he was a Gnostic, or a Gnostic. I think he had Gnostic belief, which basically means that he just defined his own religion. And that's why I asked you in the beginning as well, like, okay, when you say your personal belief, because if there's 1,000 different stories on the internet about Greek mythology, and they say that there's everybody in their own culture had their own beliefs, and yeah, they all have like mythological significance, right? You don't even know which one is true, which one is fake, which one is just a story, which one somebody just slept and woke up and thought about, right? It's just all out there, and you just choose which ones you like, which ones you don't like, and you roll with it, because there's a lot of information I know about Greek mythology. Like we even see them in what did you call it, in the movies. Thor apparently is one of them. You know what I mean? People make new stories based on different things all the time. We watch these people in the movie. You know what I mean? So who knows if Thor is actually not the guy in the movie, but the Thor is actually the one who created the world or not? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? The Bible is pretty direct on everything that it states, everything that it claims. And that's why I'm saying, if a human being can turn into a rat in the next life, or you can go to the underworld and there's a specific way that you got to do it. Because again, like, when I even talked about like going to we're talking about like underworld and coming back in a different life and stuff like that, right? If there's 1,000 different stories about it, how do you know which one is correct? How do you even know if one of these mythologies even leads to the Bible? Thor is Norse mythology, not Greeks. Okay, I thought Thor was like someone's kid. I remember Thor being someone's kid. But my point is, like, there's so much information out there. How do you know what the truth is? Because it could just be a bunch of stories. It could literally just be a bunch of stories. And now, like I said, now, for example, let's say as a Christian, right, I pray to God. Odin, yeah, thank you. Let's say I pray to God, right? Whoever the God is out there, I'm praying to that God, right? Now, let's, even within your paradigm, right? The God out of all those gods within your paradigm that I pray to has a set amount of rules and things and history in terms of like, this is what he said and this is how different things came to pass. Because one of the things that are significant about the Bible, and I'll leave with this point, is things happened in history and things are happening now that were predicted before this time. Basically, one of the main things that can allow you as well to believe that the Bible is true is the fact that there's certain things that it's outside of the realm of our possibility that someone would be able to know that information when they knew it. A simple one that I can talk about is, you've definitely heard about Jesus. You've heard about Jesus Christ, the person who died on the cross, which is the reason why we're even having this conversation in the first place. That he was going to come to this earth, how he was going to be born, and how he was going to die, what he was going to say, who he was predicted more than 700 years before. And I'm not just saying it according to the Bible, because there's history of the book existing 700 years before. It's not about religion, just about history. His life was predicted before it actually happened. And now you could say, well, if there was a book that was written about a guy that was going to come and do these things, anybody could just come and just do it. Well, the issue with that is the things that they said that he would do. First of all, him dying on a cross. He was not about to make someone kill him on a cross. It's not something he could do by himself. People had to do it to him. The things that he did, the things that he said, the things that people have, what do you call now? People witness. People say that they witnessed him do. Even you and I right now, I don't see, we say that we're in year 2025 after the death of Christ, after the AD and before Christ. You can see that even in our time, in the way that we look at time right now, Christ is still relevant in what you and I talk about today. One person over 2,000 years ago having that much significance that it's still consistent, and it's a majority of what people identify themselves with. Over 60% of the people in the world associate with that one person. People must have been experiencing something. People are experiencing something. There's something to it. Whatever it is to it, that's the same reason why I'm asking you to look into it, because at the end of the day, something did happen. And there are consequences to our choices. Even as human beings, we know you go to school, you don't go to school, you work hard, you don't work hard. We know that there's consequences for the choices that we make. Like I said already, on one hand, you've said that if you believe in God and you worship him, and in the next life there are good things that are waiting for you, fine. Even if as a Christian I believe in God and it's your right, I'm still good. You know what I mean? I'm still good. But if with what you're saying, if I'm right, you're not good. And like I said, why take the risk? Why, like, what's the reason why you just be like, all right, well, sure, if your God is right, well, I think I would rather have this than actually get to escape the consequence. You got to actually look at what the consequence is and choose for yourself. You got to look at what that person says. I always ask a question at the beginning of the streams. I say, if everybody in the world followed the teachings of the Bible, would the world be a better place or not? Most people don't even know what the Bible teaches, so you can't even answer that question properly. But I can tell you that if you follow the laws of, even the laws that we use today, we talk about morality, all those things, most people get them from what the Bible says. So anyways, that's just my peach. I say my peach. That's just what I have to share. You know, it's just, there's real consequences. And the best thing you could do for yourself, not even just for you, for your family, your brothers, your friends, your sister, your everybody, well, the best thing you could do is know for yourself if that's true. Because like I said, the alternative is there's no consequence anyways, so who cares, you know? I gotta go though. Thank you so much for engaging in this conversation with me, and I pray that as we continue to seek to learn what the truth is, I should say if, because some people don't even care about knowing what the truth is. I pray that we could all, like, that our hearts, our minds can be enlightened so that we can actually know what the truth is. Because, like I said, according to the Bible, God is always drawing people to himself, but he's not going to force anybody. It's now about whether you're going to be receptive to that or not. I'll catch you guys again probably tomorrow. Cozy, thank you for hanging out. Sorry we didn't get to read any scripture today, but like I said, but I feel like most people don't listen to the scripture if they don't know, they don't have a reason to, you know what I mean? Even though I still want to make sure that I'm still reading the scripture, but I try like this. I know you don't mind, so no, Will, it's good, because if I can talk about the Bible all day, I can read the Bible all day, but if people like you don't have a reason to even listen to it, then it doesn't impact you in any way. And I can read this Bible by myself in my house without going live. You know what I mean? So, like, the reason I do it while I'm live is to have people who don't know what it's about actually get a chance to hear about it from a familiar voice or from an unknown voice, depending on who you are. You said there's more I'd like to talk about in DC afterwards. Well, of course, Will, feel free to share. Like, I try not to talk about this much on stream, but like I said, if you, again, I think the next thing that you can do next time I'm here is, why do you believe that it's valid? Right? Because I could show you a bunch of stories. Even where I'm from, Will, in Nigeria, there's a bunch of stories, a bunch of gods. Yeah, right? Why should I believe that what that thing is true? Because remember, the point of all of this is still about truth, right? Like, all of this wouldn't matter if we are not actually trying to find out what's true. It's not sharing, it's more learning about your beliefs and the Bible. Nice. Yeah, so feel free to like talk about like why we think it's true, because we didn't even talk about that at all today. Is why I talked about that a little bit because I talked about validating the Bible through prophecy, right? Someone saying something is gonna happen almost 1,000 years before it happens, longer than that. Actually, it's way longer than that, but like those kind of things, like, why should I believe that this thing is true if I can't even like make sense of the, that's what we'll try and talk about next time that you're around. But yeah, man, thank you so much for engaging in the conversation today. I will catch you guys. I'll try to be here tomorrow again. I just finished working majorly on my app, so I should be able to like do streams daily now. Have a good evening, guys. Take care of yourselves. God bless you. Amen.